if I didn't have hope that it would actually work, or that I could actually live without it myself and be there for my child in a different way, I wouldn't have made it this far. Hey Mandyverse, we just finished our live stream, and thank you all so much for showing up and supporting us, and everything that you guys do for the channel. You guys are awesome. I've just been inundated with the private stuff, doing a lot of work on myself, a lot of mental health stuff, dealing with some of the trauma and everything that comes with that really a lot of this stuff is based on. You guys know some of this background already, but I've always known that I was emotionally abused and I had very codependent parents most of my adult life. And I've been trying to work on all of that stuff and, trying to figure my way through. And I've been to therapy and that kind of stuff too. It's a constant struggle. It's something that I don't think I'm ever going to get over completely. I'm never going to be like 100% healthy. But the box is basically, I've been trying to get them here for a long time, or my mother here, or friends here, or be able to have a relationship with my sister's kids, or anything, like any kind of connection to my old life in the United States. And nobody really has reached out to me or taken my olive branch, And the conversation, except for my mother, and occasional texts with the children and everything, but they're children, so that's a completely, it's got to be handled separately, right? Because they are kids. And every conversation the only connection I've had with my old life has been my mother. And every conversation that we have had, which has been very few and far between, not nearly as many as it should, in my opinion, for a mother-daughter relationship, but especially considering the distance. But every conversation that we did have didn't feel like she was trying to reach out and connect with me. It felt like she was trying to gauge if I was happy or not, or to make it seem like we have a relationship, and that she was setting everything up so that everything kind of from my old life had to go through her in order to get to me, and vice versa. And this became really, really obvious to me during the whole time period where my grandmother died. She didn't really tell me she was sick. And I did a whole video on this as well. She didn't really tell me she was sick. I didn't have enough time to even consider whether or not I could go home after she had died. It took me finding out about the details about the service online, and then to try to do something like live stream or, FaceTime or something so that I could be a part of the service, was like pulling teeth. And in the end, my mom's FaceTimed me or WhatsApped me or whatever, set up the video camera so I could see everybody talking, then told me she had to go and hung up the phone. And that's all I got. I didn't speak to anyone else from my old life. No one's picked up the phone and said, how are you? Hey, can I talk to Mandy real quick? How is everybody doing? How are you doing with the death of your grandmother? None of that stuff. And nobody reached out to me since to see how any of that was after the fact. And every conversation I had with my mother afterwards was much more of her codependency, trying to get me to be her supply. But since the whole thing with my grandmother has happened, I have been extremely cautious, and I really think, and I've been trying to wait for her to decide if she's actually coming to visit us or not, because this has been I think I'm going to come for 18 months or so. And it just I think that it just came to a head, and that the boxes was really the last connection that I have to that part of my life, to everything basically up until I landed here in the UK, other than whatever I might have on my computer or, have brought with me. And that is 40 years of stuff, right? Lots and lots of stuff. And so I think the reason getting the boxes to the United States, from the United States to the UK was so important to me. But anyway, it was just more that it was more so that it was almost like her holding those boxes, that she was trying to say, you can't have that part of your life without me being in your life or me being a part of your life. And that wasn't for her to decide. And it's almost like she felt that I was distancing, and that I know she felt I was distancing for the last couple decades, because it was happening, this whole process was happening long before we left. And she's been slowly grasping at straws throughout the entire process to try to keep me, back in it, especially after my sister died, but even more especially after my dad died. And I cannot be healthy and be in a very close relationship or in close proximity with her at the moment. She triggers me way too much. And what had happened was I was trying to get the boxes shipped. I was trying to have a conversation with her about it as an adult, as two sovereign individuals, trying to have just a mature conversation about how we can do this. And I was blown off. And rather than accept responsibility, she was sending me pictures of like the weather in her town to prove that they have a heat wave too or something. And I was kind of like, you're completely ignoring what really matters to me. And I think it was just the straw that broke my back. I couldn't handle it anymore. It was 45 years basically and plus, right, and everything that we've been through since we've been here, of her holding my life hostage. And it wasn't just my life, it was my kids' life. It was the life I built with my partner that has nothing to do with her. It was relationships that I had with other people outside of my family, my immediate family, but also, friends, and relationships my kid had with other people. And it was not her decision to make, and she wasn't getting it. And I think that it just came to a head because I realized the reason I got so upset was because I had that conversation earlier that day and I hadn't been able to really get over it. And it just made me feel like I was trapped. And then after I got over the initial, okay, I can like tangibly figure this out to get the boxes here on my own. I could pay for it. I can have someone pick it up. And I also had a conversation with my child because I was worried about my relationship with my mom and all of the, I guess, going no contact or very, very low contact would affect how it would affect her relationship, which I've always really tried to keep as a separate relationship for everything that I've already talked about. And once I kind of had her on board, like that, she was like on my side and she got what I was trying to do. And I realized some of the things that my mother was trying to do with her as well. Then I started to kind of realize that I was grieving the loss of my mother, even though she's still alive. I guess I was grieving the idea that I'm never going to have that kind of relationship with her. I'm never going to be able to just call her because I need to talk to someone or because I'm homesick or anything like that. And I might never, ever have that relationship with anybody ever again. And you could tell that's what it is because I'm getting emotional about it now. And anyone who has been through any kind of grief, which I know there are several of you in this community that have, it shows up in strange ways, in inopportune times, and when you're least expecting it. And you never truly get over it. Having been grieving for other people through most of my life, to be honest with you, in one level or another, I fully accept and understand that this is my life now, and this is what it's going to be moving forward. Because you don't ever, as I said, you don't ever get over grief. You just figure out a new normal. You figure out a new way to live. And that is really what I've been doing for the past month or so. And now that I know these, at least the majority of the boxes are on UK soil and are making their way to me, even if the contents are completely destroyed, they're still mine. They're still in my possession. And it's validation that I cannot rely on anyone in the United States anymore for anything. I have to do everything myself, which I kind of always had to do most of my life, but I'm just starting to really understand it now in a mature, adult, permanent way. So ultimately, that's what the boxes mean. That's why this was such an emotional saga, and that's why I did so many videos and why I was back and forth, sometimes happy, sometimes upset, because that's grief. You know, that's despair. And I sacrificed comfort, even though it was unhealthy comfort. I sacrificed comfort in order to give my child an opportunity to live a life not under that kind of oppression and not under that kind of emotional manipulation or codependency. And if I didn't have hope that it would actually work, or that I could actually live without it myself and be there for my child in a different way, I wouldn't have made it this far. And that's the truth. I'm not anything really special. I'm just an average, I say this all the time in shorts and stuff, I'm just an average New Jersey girl who happened to have really amazing opportunities, some of which I created myself, but mostly because I just opened myself up to something different and new. And once you can see something a little bit differently, or once you can, you know, it's like the Truman Show, if you guys have ever seen that movie, where he's scared of the ocean because his dad died. And then he realizes he's in this television show the whole time, like a reality television show. And I'm spoiling this for you, so I hope if you want to watch it, just cut it down now. Cut the video now. But basically, at the end of it, he like realizes it's a show, and he goes to the end of the sea that he was afraid of the entire movie, and it's just a sheet that he can like break right through, and he can find his life again. And that's kind of where I feel like I was able to finally break through the sheet, moving here to England. And in this past month or so, I was able to just really find my feet. Not in a British culture shock, American in the UK kind of way, but just find my feet as far as me, who I am, who I want to be, the kind of mother that I want to be, the kind of relationship I want to have with my adult child, and what I want the second half of my life to be. And I know it sounds cheesy, and I know life is better when you're there is kind of a cheesy, corny line, and people cringe out sometimes when I say it, but I truly couldn't have done it without my partner exposing me to a different like perspective of looking at things. I couldn't have done it without his family, you know, embracing me and helping me. I couldn't have done it without all of you. So when I say that, that's really where it's coming from. My life literally has gotten incrementally better with every single person that is in my life now, from the moment that they entered it. Anyway, okay, trying again. And that's it. I will catch you guys up in the next one. Thank you guys so much for everything. I'll never be able to thank you fully, but from the bottom of my heart, for all the emails, all of the comments of encouragement, all the check-ins, all the texts and stuff that you guys have been giving, all the space. I really appreciate it. Thank you from the bottom of my heart. Love y'all.